I never imagined I'd feel like a stranger in my own home. The place I bought with sleepless nights, endless hours, and a heart that refused to give up. Yet, there I stood, on my own hardwood floors, hearing laughter from the living room that didn't include me. My brother, Jason, had his feet propped on the coffee table I once built from reclaimed wood, a game controller in hand, and a smirk on his face that always meant trouble. My parents were on the couch next to him, watching something mindless on TV, completely at ease, like it was their house. And maybe in their minds it was. "Hey, Emily," Mom said without looking up. "We were wondering if you could grab some snacks. Jason loves those cheese crisps you get." I stared at her. "I just got home from work, Mom." She blinked, like the idea that I might be tired or human didn't compute. "Oh, right. Well, if you're too tired, I'll get them later." Later meant never. Jason didn't say a word. He never did when he was winning. Not just in his video games, but in life. Especially if it meant I was losing. This all started 6 months ago. One phone call. One moment of weakness. That's all it took to disrupt the peace I fought so hard to create. He just needs a place to crash for a few weeks, Dad had said. He's in a rough spot. He'll be out before you know it. That was 182 days ago. At first, I didn't say no because, well, I never said no to my family. They raised me, clothed me, fed me, even if most of my childhood memories were stitched together with silence, shame, and the echo of Jason's name being praised like a god. "He's your brother," they always said. "Family comes first." Even if family crushed your spirit like a crumpled beer can. The problem wasn't just that Jason lived here. It was that everyone acted like I owed him a space in my home. Like my hard-earned success was a resource meant to be redistributed. Jason hadn't worked a day since he moved in. He slept till noon, played video games, ate whatever he pleased, and used my address to sign up for random delivery apps. One time, I saw a stack of packages by the front door. "Did you order all this?" I asked him. He didn't even look up. "Yeah, just a few things." "On my account?" "Nope. I made my own using your address." "Chill, it's legal." It was always like that, little invasions that added up to something unbearable. I stopped inviting friends over. I avoided the kitchen. I started working late just to come home when they were asleep. But they weren't always asleep. Some nights, I heard whispers. I heard laughter. Once, I heard Jason on the phone saying, "I basically live rent-free in a 2-story place." "Yeah. My sister? She's too nice, or too scared to kick me out." That sentence hit me like a slow burn. It made me sick. But I said nothing. Not yet. The truth is, I had my own shadows. Things I never shared. Things that made me vulnerable to guilt. Like the time I left home at 17, swearing I'd never look back. Or the years I didn't answer my mom's calls because I couldn't bear to hear her say Jason's name one more time. I thought I had healed. I thought building a life on my own would make it all okay. But wounds don't stay closed if you keep inviting the knife back in. One night, I walked into the hallway and found Jason standing in front of my bedroom door. Just standing. Not knocking. Not saying anything. "What are you doing?" I asked. He turned slowly. "Your Wi-Fi's lagging." My heart stopped. "That's my room, Jason." "I know. I was just checking the router." "Relax." He walked away like nothing happened. But I didn't sleep that night. I started locking my door after that. And then there were the conversations. The ones they thought I didn't hear. "She's always so tense," my mom had said. "I know," Dad replied. "She's not like Jason. He's more adaptable." I wanted to scream. I wanted to walk in and say, "Adaptable? He's a leech." But instead, I sat on the stairs in the dark, hand over my mouth, tears in my eyes, and realized something awful. I wasn't afraid of Jason. I was afraid of them. Afraid of being the bad daughter. Afraid of being selfish. Afraid of losing the last thread of family I had left. But fear turns into fire when it builds too long. And mine? It was about to burn. I started gathering things, documents, emails, receipts. I took pictures of the packages. I recorded my own video testimony. I even met with a lawyer in secret. Technically, she said, flipping through paperwork, you have every legal right to evict him. Even if my parents live here too? She raised an eyebrow. Do they pay rent? I shook my head. Then yes. It's your property. You're not obligated to house anyone. The weight lifted from my chest was replaced by a different feeling, resolve. Still, I hesitated. Because giving someone a reality check means you're ready to live in one yourself. And that's the part they never talk about. That night, I walked into the living room and saw Jason passed out on the couch, TV still glowing. Mom and Dad were asleep in the guest room I had repainted for them when they first visited. I stood in the middle of the room, staring at everything. This was mine. The couch, the walls, the life. But somehow, I had become invisible inside it. Until now. The next morning, I woke up with an unusual sense of clarity. It wasn't rage. It wasn't sadness. It was stillness. Like something had shifted quietly overnight. I made myself coffee black, just the way I liked it. Sat at the kitchen counter and stared at the eviction notice draft I had printed weeks ago but never had the courage to fill in. My pen hovered over the paper. Jason wandered in around noon, shirtless, yawning, and smelling like smoke. Yo. You got milk. Fridge. I replied coolly, not looking up. He rummaged through the fridge like a raccoon, pulled out the jug, sniffed it, and shrugged. Smells weird. You should buy the organic one next time. I didn't answer. And that's when he noticed the paper on the counter. What's that? Nothing you need to worry about, I said without emotion. He squinted. Is that an eviction form? I met his eyes. If it were, would that be a problem? Jason laughed like I'd just told a joke. Seriously? You're gonna kick me out? Mom and Dad will flip. I'm not doing this for Mom and Dad. Or against them. I said calmly. This is about me. He rolled his eyes and walked away, muttering something under his breath. Something like, she's losing it. But I wasn't. I was finally finding it. Later that day, I got a text from Mom. We need to talk. Jason said something that really worried me. Of course he did. I agreed to meet them that evening in the backyard. The air was warm and sticky, heavy with pre-storm tension. Mom sat on the patio chair, arms crossed. Dad leaned on the railing, quiet as ever. Jason stood behind them like a sulking teenager, arms folded. What's this about evicting your own family? Mom asked sharply. Don't call it evicting. Call it taking back my space, I said. Asked for cooperation. I got disrespect. Dad finally spoke. Sweetheart, we know Jason's not perfect, but he's your brother. You don't just put blood on the street. Did you forget how long I struggled to even buy this place? I said, voice rising. I didn't sleep for 2 years trying to make ends meet. I was alone, doing everything on my own while Jason was dropping out of his third startup idea and living off your retirement. That's not fair, Jason interrupted. No, I snapped, turning to him. What's not fair is that I pay the mortgage, the bills, the groceries, and you walk around like you own the place. You're 30. You act like a spoiled teenager. His jaw clenched. You've always been jealous of how they treated me. That stopped everything. The air went silent. Even Mom looked uncomfortable. What did you say? I whispered. You heard me. It wasn't the insult that shook me. It was the truth buried inside it. Because for years, I had buried that jealousy, smoothed it over with smiles, and wore it like armor. And now here he was, throwing it in my face like he knew it better than I did. You're right, I said after a beat. I was jealous. Of how you could do nothing and still be their favorite. Of how I had to be perfect to get half the praise. Emily, Dad started. No. You wanted honesty? Here it is. I never felt good enough. Not once. You made me feel like I had to earn love. Jason just got it. Mom looked away. Jason said nothing. I don't want revenge, I continued. I want relief. I want space. I want to come home and feel safe. This, I gestured around me, has never been a home. It's been a proving ground. And I'm done. They didn't say much after that. The conversation fizzled like a candle in the rain. But things didn't get better. They got weirder. That night, my bedroom door handle jiggled. Once. Then again. I froze. My hand moved to the baseball bat under my bed. Jason. I called out. Silence. Then a faint laugh, his laugh, and retreating footsteps. The next morning, I didn't confront him. I installed a lock. And cameras. I didn't tell anyone. I just watched. I watched him dig through my drawers when I was at work. I watched him unplug my security system for bandwidth issues. I watched him laugh with my parents behind my back, mocking how paranoid I was becoming. The house felt like a fun house. Familiar yet off. Every room felt like it was watching me. Every photo frame felt like a portrait of someone I used to be. Then came the missing money. I checked my bank account. 2 Venmo withdrawals I never authorized. I cross-checked the timestamps with the security footage. Jason. He used my laptop. He sent money to an account under a different name. I printed the screenshots. And I made a plan. That weekend, I told them I was going out of town. I even packed a fake bag. But I didn't leave. I stayed at a hotel 2 blocks away and monitored the cameras. Jason brought someone over. A woman. They went into my bedroom. They used my bed. The next morning, I came back early. He wasn't expecting me. Hey, I said casually, dropping my fake bag. Jason jumped like a deer in headlights. You're back early. I forgot something, I said. He opened his mouth, probably to lie. I raised my phone, showing him the footage. And I saw it. That flicker of fear in his eyes. Good. You've got 3 days, I said. Then I changed the locks. He didn't say a word. I walked past him, upstairs, into my room. It smelled like her perfume. But I didn't cry. I opened the windows. Let the storm air in. It was time to let everything out. 3 days passed like molasses, slow, heavy, suffocating. I didn't ask Jason if he had found a new place. I didn't care anymore. The clock was ticking, and so was my tolerance. On the morning of day 3, I walked downstairs and found the living room completely trashed, pizza boxes, beer cans, an ashtray he wasn't supposed to use indoors. My couch smelled like stale smoke. Jason was nowhere to be found. There was a note on the table, scribbled in Sharpie on a napkin. You want the house? Have it. You never were fun, anyway. Jay. I stared at it. Something in my chest sank. I should have been relieved. Instead, I was uneasy. I walked through the house, checking every door, every window. Everything was closed, but something still didn't feel right. When I entered the guest room, his room, I froze. The closet door was slightly open. My fingers trembled as I pulled it wider. Inside was a shoebox. And inside that, a pile of envelopes. Some were opened. Some sealed. All of them had my name on them. Not my first name. Not Emily. They were addressed to Ms. Carter, outstanding balance enclosed. Bills. Old bills. Ones I had paid months ago. And others that weren't mine. Electric. Gas. Internet. Subscriptions. All under my name, but to addresses I never lived at. It didn't make sense. Until I saw one with his name scribbled out and mine written over it in ink. I sat down, heart racing, pulling each envelope apart like ripping bandages off a wound. It was identity fraud. He had been opening credit accounts in my name, signing up for utilities, subscription services, loan inquiries, all linked to my social. I couldn't breathe. I ran upstairs to my office and checked my credit report. There it was. Multiple dings. Collections notices I never received. Loans I never applied for. He had been using me for years. Not just for a couch or fridge space. For everything. The stomachache that followed was instant, like being punched in the gut from the inside. I called the bank. The credit bureau. My voice shook. My words stumbled. I wasn't even sure what to tell them at first. Then I called my parents. No answer. So I drove to their house. Mom answered the door, visibly irritated. Emily, we were about to have dinner. Where's Jason? She hesitated. Why? Where is he? He's upstairs. Why? I pushed past her and climbed the stairs two at a time. My legs were moving faster than my brain could register. He was in the guest bedroom, lying on his phone like he didn't have a care in the world. He looked up, startled. What the hell? You used my name, I said, shaking the papers I had brought. You used my name, my credit, my identity for years. He laughed, but I saw it. The flicker of panic. Oh, come on, he said. You're being dramatic. Do you think this is funny? I yelled. You've ruined my credit. I have debt collectors calling me for bills I never made. You put them there. You're exaggerating. You always do this, he muttered. Mom and Dad had followed us upstairs now, standing behind me like shadows. I turned to them. Did you know? Mom blinked. Know what? That Jason's been stealing from me. That he's used my name for his bills. His lifestyle. Did you know about this? They looked stunned. Confused. Then Mom glanced at Jason. And in that moment I saw it. Not guilt. Not fear. Awareness. She knew. Maybe not everything. Maybe not the full extent. But something. He said he just needed a cosigner, she said weakly. I laughed. A cosigner? 4 or 5 different utility accounts and a $2,000 cash loan. Dad looked like he was about to speak, but Jason cut in. This is so blown out of proportion. I told you I'd pay you back. You never even told me you were borrowing, I snapped. You didn't ask for anything. You stole. You forged. You hid it in my house. Dad finally said something. Maybe we should all sit down and... No, my voice was firm. I'm done sitting down. I'm done listening. I'm filing a police report. The air froze. Mom gasped. Emily, no. He's your brother. No, I said through clenched teeth. He's a criminal. Jason stood now, face red. You'd really throw your own family to the cops? You already threw me to the wolves, I said. I turned and left. That night, I sat at my desk and filed a report with the Austin Police Department. Identity theft. Fraud. Unauthorized use of personal information. I sent in the documentation. The screenshots. The bills. The footage. I didn't hear back for a few days. But I did get a call from Mom. I just want to talk, she said, her voice tired. I agreed to meet her at a diner near my office. She looked older, weary, like the guilt was beginning to rot her from the inside. I didn't know how deep it was, she said quietly. He told me you were helping him. That's the problem, I replied. You believed him without ever checking with me. You've always been so strong, she whispered. I thought you could handle anything. I smiled bitterly. That doesn't mean I should have to. She wiped her eyes. What happens now? That's up to the law, I said. But as for me, I'm done trying to win your approval. I'm done competing with someone who never had to earn what I worked for. I'm sorry, she said softly, and I believed her. But forgiveness doesn't equal access. That was the last time I met her face to face. 2 days later, I got a call from a detective. Emily Carter? This is Officer Diaz with the Austin PD. We've reviewed your report and opened an investigation. I exhaled, and then cried. Not from sadness, but from the strange relief of finally being seen. The investigation didn't just bring legal heat, it brought emotional wildfire. Jason avoided me like the plague, but word got around quickly. My uncle called, confused. A family friend texted me. Are you okay? My cousin Brittany sent me a voice note. I knew something was weird with Jason. You did the right thing. I wasn't trying to start drama, but truth has a way of erupting whether you want it to or not. When the detective followed up 2 weeks later, he confirmed what I had feared and what I had needed. We pulled Jason's credit applications. There's a paper trail of forged signatures, mismatched IP logins, even video footage from a loan office where he used your name. We'll be moving forward with charges. Hearing it aloud sent shivers down my spine. Reality check, indeed. But justice has a strange timing. That same week, I got a voicemail from my dad. Emily, I don't know how to fix this. I wish you'd talk to us before calling the police. Before? I begged them to see what he was doing. I cried. I reasoned. I showed them proof. They didn't want to believe me until the police did. I didn't call back. I couldn't. Not yet. Because the day after that voicemail, Jason showed up at my front door. Not to apologize. Not to explain. To demand. I opened the door slowly, keeping the screen door locked. His face was red. Puffy. Like he'd been drinking or hadn't slept in days. You happy now? He snapped. No, I said calmly. But I'm getting there. You didn't have to go this far, Emily. You didn't have to steal my identity, Jason. He leaned closer to the screen. They froze my accounts. I can't even rent a car. Good, I said. You ruined my life, he hissed. I laughed coldly. No. You did. I just stopped cleaning up after you. He stood there a moment, breathing heavily. I hope you're proud of yourself. I am, I said. And the next time you show up here, I'll press charges for trespassing too. I shut the door in his face. I watched through the peephole as he stood there, muttering something to himself, then finally walked away. He never came back. But the mess he left behind was still unraveling. In the following weeks, my credit began stabilizing. I worked with a fraud protection service to remove most of the bogus accounts. I had to close my current cards and reopen under new numbers. Every login, every password, I changed it all. And still, I felt the residue of betrayal in every click. The day of the arraignment hearing, I showed up. I wore black. Jason avoided eye contact. The judge read through the charges: identity theft, wire fraud, forgery. Jason pled no contest. My parents were there, sitting on the opposite side of the courtroom. Mom sobbed quietly into a tissue. Dad looked like he'd aged a decade. I didn't cry. I didn't even blink. The judge ordered a formal sentencing hearing to be scheduled within the month. Jason could face time. He'd already been warned. This wasn't his first offense. Apparently, there was a sealed juvenile case from years ago. Something they covered up. I felt my throat tighten. How many people had he hurt before me? How many had my parents helped him cover? That night, I sat in my backyard under the Texas stars, wrapped in a blanket, sipping hot tea. I wasn't celebrating. I wasn't even relieved. I was grieving. Grieving the family I thought I had. Grieving the years I spent giving and forgiving, only to realize I had been disposable to them. I received a text that evening from Mom. We're sorry. We don't know how to undo this, but we want you to know we still love you. I stared at it for a long time. Then, I muted the thread. No reply. They needed to sit in the silence they once forced me to swallow. A week later, I received a letter in the mail. Handwritten. No return address. It was from Jason. I sat on my kitchen table, staring at it like it might bite. I opened it. I don't expect forgiveness. I just wanted to say I didn't plan at all like some evil genius. It started small. I used your name to get a phone plan because mine was canceled. Then it spiraled. I told myself I'd fix it before you found out. But I didn't. I screwed up. I messed everything up. You didn't deserve it. I hope someday you'll believe me when I say I never meant to hurt you. There was no "I'm sorry." No promise to make it right. Just empty explanations. Still, for some strange reason, I didn't rip the letter. I didn't burn it. I filed it away with the case documents. Not for nostalgia. For evidence. In case he ever tried again. The day of sentencing came. Jason was given 6 months of jail time and 2 years of probation, with mandatory financial restitution toward me. He looked pale. Tired. Older than his age. Mom wept silently on the courtroom bench. I didn't cry, but I did exhale. A long, slow breath. Like I had finally cleared smoke from my lungs after years of choking on it. On my way home, I stopped at a gas station and bought myself a chocolate bar and a bouquet of sunflowers. The cashier smiled at me. Special occasion? I smiled back. Yeah, I said. It's the day I stopped letting people use me. Life didn't go back to normal. Not the way people expect it to after something big breaks. It shifted, quietly, slowly, like the earth settling after a quake. I no longer waited for calls from my mom. I didn't check for messages from Jason. I didn't tiptoe around feelings I had no space left to carry. I existed now in the aftermath. It was quieter. It was lonelier. But strangely, it was also mine. After Jason's sentencing, I took 2 weeks off from work. I needed to reset. My therapist and I unpacked years of guilt and internalized shame. I realized how deeply I had been conditioned to rescue people who never planned on saving me. "You have the right to protect your peace, Emily," she said one afternoon, "even if it means disappointing people who benefited from your silence." Those words stuck. I repainted the walls of the guest room he once occupied, soft lavender now. I replaced the old couch he used to leave crumbs in. I donated the dishes he never washed and bought myself new ones in a floral pattern I had always loved but never bought. Small, symbolic rebellions. Little declarations that this house is mine again. I started hosting friends' Sunday brunches, wine nights, movie marathons. People laughed in this house again. Not just Jason's loud, performative jokes, real, warm, soul-bonding laughter. A few months after the sentencing, I got a letter in the mail from the Department of Justice. Inside was a restitution check. $2,750. A small piece of the financial damage Jason caused. I deposited it. Then donated the full amount to a local domestic violence center, one that helped people rebuild after financial and emotional abuse. I didn't want his money in my account. I wanted something good to come from the ashes. One spring evening, I received a knock on the door. It wasn't Jason. It was my father. He stood on my porch, hands in his pockets, wearing that familiar jacket I'd once gifted him for his birthday. He looked older than I remembered. He didn't speak at first. Just stood there, waiting. I stepped outside and closed the door behind me. "I won't stay long," he said. "Just needed to look you in the eye." I said nothing. "I was wrong," he finally continued. "We were both wrong. Your mother and I." Still, I waited. He swallowed. We enabled him. We watched him spiral and kept pretending it was just a phase. We let him convince us you were the problem because it was easier than facing who he had become. I looked at him, my once unshakable father, and saw a man finally standing in truth, maybe for the first time. "I don't expect forgiveness, Em. I just wanted you to know that we see it now." Silence stretched between us. Then I asked softly, "Do you see me now?" He looked stunned, then nodded, tears filling his eyes. "Yes," he whispered. "I see you." That night, I didn't invite him in. But I did watch him walk away, and for the first time, I didn't feel bitter or hollow. I felt clean. Months passed. Seasons shifted. And slowly, I grew into a woman I didn't recognize, but loved. Strong. Unapologetic. Whole. I wrote an essay about my experience and submitted it to a women's magazine. They published it. Emails began pouring in from strangers who had endured similar betrayals. One woman wrote, "I never had the courage to stand up to my family. Your story gave me hope that I still can." Another wrote, "You made me feel less alone." That night I cried, not out of pain, but out of purpose. The pain I carried wasn't meaningless. It had become someone else's map. And one day, out of nowhere, I received a letter. Not from Jason. From a woman named Dana. She introduced herself as the wife of a man Jason had borrowed money from using her name. She had read my article. She had filed a police report because of it. I realized then, my voice wasn't just justice. It was a warning siren, a signal flare, a lighthouse in the storm. Jason may have stolen my name, but I reclaimed my voice. Fully. Finally. And as for my house, I kept it. I filled it with plants and art and music. I hosted a celebration on the anniversary of the day I evicted him, the day I got my peace back. We called it Freedom Day. Every June 8th, my closest friends come over and we toast to truth, to boundaries, to second chances, but not for people who don't earn them. That night, as I sat under the stars, wrapped in my lavender shawl, I whispered something aloud. "I forgive you, Jason." But forgiveness didn't mean forgetting. It meant I was done bleeding for someone else's wounds. It meant I was moving on, not dragging him behind me. Then, as if by cosmic punctuation, I received a text on my phone. From an unknown number. Still think about you. Hope you're okay. No name. But I knew. I didn't respond. I blocked the number. Then I opened the journal I had started the day after his arrest and wrote my final entry. Healing isn't loud. Sometimes it looks like sunflowers on a porch, like silence after years of shouting, like locking a door and never opening it again. I didn't just take my house back. I took myself back. And with that, I closed the journal and began the rest of my life.